Good evening, I'm Jose Cardenas. We'll hear details of a new report examining legal residency versus U.S. citizenship and what the economic impact would be on Arizona. Plus, hear about an event honoring the achievements of business and community leaders statewide. And ASU partners with community agencies to prevent diabetes in Latino teens. All this coming up next on Horizonte.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station.
Thanks for joining us. According to a new analysis by the Morrison Institute Latino Public Policy Center, Arizona's overall economy would benefit significantly if undocumented immigrants become U.S. citizens instead of simply legal residents. Citizenship or something less, economic implications for Arizona is the title of a new report examining the economic impact on Arizona, legal residency versus U.S. citizenship. Joining me tonight to talk about this report is Chief Researcher and Author Mike Slavin and ASU Morrison Institute Policy Analyst. Mike, welcome to Horizonte.
Thanks, Jose.
Very timely research paper. Was it done in anticipation that we would be having this immigration discussion at this time?
Well, I mean, obviously, we began it after people had started talking about immigration reform again. And what you see is that there's a major tension kind of emerging between people who say there should be a broader path to citizenship for people who don't have legal status in the U.S. Versus some people, particularly in the House, who might be less comfortable with this and say that there should be a legal status that would not allow people eventually to get citizenship. And kind of the important thing we were looking at is, well, what is the research that's been conducted on the impact of citizenship, and what does that say for Arizona?
And you had some basis for at least establishing a baseline, and that being what had happened in the 1980s.
Right. Well, the 1986 legalization has produced a lot of research on the fate of people who benefited from it. And what that has generally found is that getting legal status benefits people economically and benefits the community economically. What we were also looking at and what we were really focusing on in this report was what's the impact of citizenship? If one of the big debates is about citizenship or a legal status that's not citizenship, what is the fact of citizenship? What does it have to contribute to how people do economically?
And so what were the conclusions?
Well, it's interesting because people who have naturalized, immigrants who become citizens, do better economically for all sorts of reasons. They tend to speak English better, they've been in the country for longer, they tend to have higher education levels, etc. But the really interesting thing is that there's all this research that suggests that citizenship itself plays an independent factor in terms of how much people earn at work, to the tune of about 8 to 11%. And so if you look at Arizona and how many people here who are working lack legal status right now, and look ahead about 13 years, you see that a reasonable estimate would be that in the first 5 years that people are allowed to become citizens, about a $500 million economic impact overall.
And that assumes how many people, what percentage of people would actually apply for citizenship once they're eligible?
Well, what we assume in the report is about half overall, and what we look at is the main legalization program from 1986. Over time, about 53%, maybe more, became citizens. And during the 1986 program, as it was being implemented, about 40% in the first 5 years became citizens. So when you kind of break that down and look to the future as to how many people might be gaining that status in Arizona, how many people are working, what they might be making, about $500 million emerges as the figure that we believe is a conservative and reasonable estimate.
Now, you do hear people saying that there's really not that much interest in citizenship versus legal residency, that most of the people who are here undocumented would be perfectly happy just as long as they can get legal status. What does your study say about that issue?
Well, we don't examine that issue per se, but I mean, the fact that people do want to become citizens shows that it is important to at least some people, and obviously whether to become a citizen is a personal decision for everybody. And what our study really looks at is to say, okay, among those who do want to become citizens, and we see from past legalizations that there are a lot of people who do want to, what kind of impact would that have for the broader community? And what we find is that, when people would benefit from this kind of 8 to 11% bump in their earnings that on average occurs because people are citizens, that equates to something that's significant for Arizona as a whole. So as to whether it's important to people to become citizens, I mean, that's something that you'd have to ask them. But I think that what you see in the data and in past experiences, that a lot of people do take that opportunity, and that the social science and economics is strong, that when they do that, it tends to benefit the broader community.
So this certainly addresses the question of whether there should be a path to citizenship, and I assume the answer is yes, at least based upon the economic benefits. But what about the time gap? Right now, the proposal is for most people, with some exceptions, but most people, it'd be 13 years before they're even eligible.
Right. I mean, the 1986 program was shorter, and this one is longer, and it's also would be much larger. You know, you're talking about 11 million people. It may not be completely feasible to process that many applications and to go through all those steps in a shorter period of time. The other thing to keep in mind is that, you know, there are a lot, obviously, of purposes imagined for immigration reform. It's not just about the economy. I think that there is some suggestion that, you know, if you wait really long for people to become citizens, then, you know, a lot of them will retire, and that'll kind of diminish the effect that it'll have on the economy, because they won't be in the workforce to benefit from this gain that happens. But, you know, that evidence in this study and what we're saying about what the economic impact might be has to be weighed with all of the objectives of immigration reform, and it has to be considered alongside everything. But the bottom line is that the evidence is very strong that the more people who are allowed to become citizens and the more people do, the better off we all are economically.
Now, the report was unveiled at a forum about a week ago.
Right, yeah.
What kind of reaction have you received so far?
I mean, people, you know, there's obviously a much bigger discussion going on, or what are the economic benefits of immigration, and typically what people think of are guest workers and the legal status, and, you know, before the citizenship step would occur. I mean, the kind of reaction we've gotten is that there's a lot of interest in this kind of stuff, and a lot of interest in discussing what the economic impact is, and this is definitely part of that broader discussion that is forming a big part of the debate.
Has there been any criticism of the study or the methodology?
Hopefully not.
I mean, none that you've heard so far.
Well, none that I've heard specifically so far. You know, one thing that is important to keep in mind, which people do bring up, is well, you know, we don't have a crystal ball. We can't tell how many people are going to be taking advantage of the program exactly. So what we're working off is estimates, and we're producing ballpark figures. But the important thing to remember is that, you know, lest we get bogged down in a discussion, is it 400 million, 500 million, 600 million more, is that basically the economics is very strong. The citizenship benefits not only the people who are in the workforce, but also everybody else as well. And it's important to note that in a lot of areas we took a very conservative approach in terms of trying to estimate what the impact might be. So that's one thing to keep in mind, and, you know, is that we use these estimates and that we use them to the best of our ability based on past experience. But I haven't heard any really specific criticism of the methodology that we used yet.
Well, Michael Slavin, thank you so much for joining us on Horizonte to talk about the study. Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks very much, Jose.
Here at Horizonte, we want to hear from you. If you have comments, story ideas, or questions, email us at horizonte@asu.edu.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
The 55th Annual Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Black and White Ball and Business Awards Gala is happening this weekend. The event honors community and business leaders statewide. Joining me tonight to talk about the event is Gonzalo de la Melena, Jr., President and CEO for the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And Gonzalo, I mispronounced your last name, Melena.
De la Melena, yes.
Yeah. So you've been on the show before. I've pronounced your name correctly before. But it was at a time when the Chamber was going through a transition. So before we talk about this event, which I think is significant because it really captures the success that the Chamber has had under your leadership, let's talk about what's happened in the years since you became president.
Great. Well, thank you, Jose. We've been really excited and really blessed to be able to gain the respect and the trust and the investment, most importantly, of our corporate partners. And we've been able to significantly grow those investors from 27 corporate partners just 18 months ago. Today, we have over 57.
The financial condition of the Chamber is much stronger than it was before.
In fact, we had 2012 was the best year on record in the 60-year history of the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Your chamber is now healthier than it's ever been.
And just a brief overview of the kinds of services that the Chamber provides its members.
So we're really focused on four things. One is economic development. We received a $1.5 billion grant from the Department of Commerce federally to operate a business accelerator, where we help minority-owned firms gain access to contracts, capital, and job creation. That's kind of our primary driver. We're also very involved in market intelligence, utilizing our Datos platform, developing and designing more research that's actionable for our corporate partners upstream and our small businesses downstream. Still very active in the professional development and capacity building space, putting on more than 40 workshops a year. And we've substantially been able to grow our foundation and our education vertical, taking a small $30,000 program that we had for scholarships, and now we've got a $250,000 fund within a fund over at ACF, and so we're real proud about that.
And Datos refers to the gathering of marketing information that you then, in a major event, share with businesses in the area.
Exactly. Datos translates into data, and that's the research work that we do, being an aggregator of secondary information. But most excitingly, this last year we took on a primary research, and we published a research on minority business enterprises for the entire state of Arizona.
Now, Gonzalo, in addition to the Chamber's involvement in business promotion, it has taken some political stances on issues of current importance to Arizona. Let's talk about that.
So the Chamber was one of the original plaintiffs in the SB 1070 case, and kind of fast forward 2 years, we've been very active as founding members of the Real Arizona Coalition, who has been really promoting the importance of comprehensive immigration reform. We're really excited to be part of the 60 plus groups of community organization and C-level executives that recently sent a letter and a contingency to D.C. to talk about the importance of comprehensive immigration reform. And so we're committed to that, and really telling the economic story about the role and contribution of Latinos and Hispanic business enterprises in Arizona's, not only its short-term recovery, but its future growth.
So let's talk a little bit now about the black and white. It's, as you noted, the 55th.
Yes.
This has long been a major event in not just the Hispanic community at large. And over the last several years, you used the opportunity to honor people important to our community, not just Latinos. Last year, I think the principal recipient was Eddie Basha.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, this is our opportunity to celebrate and recognize those community leaders that have had great impact. We were blessed to recognize Mr. Eddie Basha last year. In previous years, we've recognized leaders like Jerry Colangelo, Senator McCain, former Governor Janet Napolitano, former Governor Raul Castro. This year will be a great honor to recognize a great leader from ASU, formerly of ASU, and that is Dr. Laddie Coor, CEO for the Center for the Future of Arizona.
And he's the recipient of the major award.
The Legacy Award, correct. That's the pinnacle one. And then we've got 4 other categories. Man of the Year, Mr. Alfredo Molina, Woman of the Year, a great entrepreneur in the STEM space, Marianne Guerra, BioCell, and then we've also got an Entrepreneur of the Award, Mr. Israel Torres.
So let's talk a little bit about those people. Laddie Coor, former president of ASU,
yeah.
and quite involved these days with the Arizona We Want project.
Yes. Dr. Coor has been a great leader in that, in terms of helping Arizona reframe its conversation and its brand and the importance of Arizona in the global marketplace. And through his research and that reframing of the conversation, I think Dr. Coor is doing some incredible work in that space, and we're happy to recognize him for his leadership.
Now, most people in the Valley have heard of Al Molina, of Molina's Jewelers. But I think some people would be surprised at the level of community involvement, yes. Not just in some of the traditional charities, but really across the spectrum.
Mr. Molina is probably one of the most philanthropic folks that we know in town. He's also a great international leader. He serves as the honorary consul for Spain in Arizona. And he's been a very successful businessman, really in the global marketplace, and we're excited to recognize him.
And honored nationally for his philanthropy.
That's right, correct.
Tell us quickly about Marianne Guerra.
Marianne Guerra, what a phenomenal story of a of a woman-owned enterprise in the high-tech space from a biocells point of view. We're excited to have her and all the important work that she's doing in collaboration with ASU and U of A in the downtown area.
Formerly with TGen?
Yes, that's correct.
So she's established herself as quite the trailblazer.
She is.
In this area. And then Israel Torres.
Israel Torres is a really unique story. He was formerly an intern of the Chamber many, many years ago. He rose to become our chairman of the board, and now he runs a very successful consulting and legal firm, and we're excited to recognize him as well with that unique story.
So the event is this Saturday?
This Saturday, April 27th at downtown Sheraton, 7 p.m. We're expecting over 1,200 people, so if you haven't got your tickets, please hurry out. We're close to sold out, and we're bringing in a phenomenal international MC, a gentleman by the name of Marco Antonio Regil, who runs very interesting game shows in Latin America, so we're excited to have him.
So he's a big name in the Hispanic community.
Huge name, big Q score. He's like the Bob Barker of Latin America.
Well, on that note, we'll end our interview. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck on Saturday's event.
Thank you, Jose.
To find out more information about what's on Horizonte, go to azpbs.org and click on the Horizonte tab at the top of the screen. There you can access many features to become a more informed Horizonte viewer. Watch interviews by clicking on the video button or by scrolling down to the bottom of the page for the most recent segments. Learn about more specific topics like arts and culture and immigration. You can also find out what's on Horizonte for the upcoming week. If you would like an RSS feed, a podcast, or you want to buy a video, that's all on our website too. Other features include our collection of website links and a special page for educators. While you're there, show your support for Horizonte with just one click. Discover all that's on Horizonte. Visit azpbs.org, Horizonte today.
ASU Every Little Step Counts is a study that examines the effects of a community-based diabetes prevention program for Latino teens. Joining me to talk about this study is Dr. Gabriel Scheibe, ASU Southwest Interdisciplinary Research Center Faculty Research Affiliate, Assistant Professor and Southwest Borderland Scholar for the ASU College of Nursing and Health Innovation and the School of Nutrition and Health Promotion. Quite a title there. Thank you for joining us, Gabe. It's hard to overstate the problem of diabetes generally and particularly in the Hispanic community, but give us a sense for that.
I think one of the most pressing data that we've seen is from the CDC, which estimates that approximately up to 50% of Latino youth born in the year 2000 will develop type 2 diabetes in their lifetime.
And the problem seems to be just getting worse.
Absolutely. I know we've seen that obesity and the obesity epidemic contributes to the increased risk for diabetes, but with decreases in physical activity and the changes in nutrition, the obesogenic environment really contributes to increases in what we see, and we're just at the early beginnings of the biology that we know is going to be present in the next 10 to 20 years.
And diabetes is a problem throughout the population, but seems to be a particular one for the Hispanic community.
That's correct. We know that, well, I think, there's biological reasons as well as behavioral reasons, and when you put biological underpinnings of a disease in a high-risk community without some of the resources to be physically active or eat healthy nutrition, it manifests itself as this phenotype. And so what we're trying to understand is not why are individuals at higher risk, but what do we do with individuals who are at high risk to improve their health?
The program that we introduced in the segment here is actually an outgrowth of a pilot project that you were involved in. Tell us about that one.
Absolutely. And so take a few steps back. It's a collaboration between ASU, the YMCA, and the St. Vincent de Paul Medical and Dental Clinic that stems from some early work that we had looking at a program in the community that seemed to be effective. We evaluated that program using less than rigorous approaches and knew that we needed to develop something more meaningful from a scientific perspective to really, from a scientific perspective, prove that this could be effective. And so the pilot study was funded by SIRC, or the Southwest Interdisciplinary Research Center, as kind of an incubator project. We recruited 15 kids, or 18 kids, and we finished with 15 kids to do a proof of concept. Is this feasible? And if it's feasible, can it be at least preliminarily effective?
And one of the things that was a little bit different about this approach was the emphasis wasn't on losing weight, it was more developing healthy habits.
Absolutely. And we think It's important for kids to maintain improvements in health through any means they possibly can. We know that weight loss is difficult. More importantly than weight loss being difficult, sustained weight loss is difficult. So we know individuals lose weight, but they tend to gain it back. A different message is you can be healthy at any weight. And so not focusing on losing weight, but focusing on changing your behaviors, improving your physical activity, decreasing some of the foods that we know are harmful. And those types of changes seem to be more sustainable. The emphasis on weight loss may actually have some detrimental effects, especially in a population that we think may be obese for the rest of their lives.
So what were the results of the pilot study?
We saw some really valuable, we learned some really valuable things, but the results that we found that seemed to be most effective in terms of resonating were the fact that these kids were able to improve their insulin sensitivity, which is, we think, is one of the earliest manifestations of diabetes, and so they were able to improve that. Improve their glucose tolerance, which means that they were able to process sugar better. Also, one of the nice parts about this project is we don't just measure the biology, we measure behaviors, changes in nutrition, changes in physical activity, but also quality of life. We know from a function of obesity that detrimentally impacts the quality of life, and specifically quality of life related to their weight. With this pilot study, they improved significantly weight-specific quality of life. So that, to a kid, is how they feel about themselves. We improved their biology, so we improved their risk, but we also improved how they feel about themselves. And we think that that's a really different message than just saying, hey, kids need to lose weight.
Well, and I assume that improvement in how they look at themselves in part was because they actually did look better. They may not have lost weight, but they lost waist sizes.
Absolutely. So another thing that we look at is not just weight loss, but where they're losing weight. And we did in the pilot see that they had reductions in waist circumference. We do know that these kids are growing. So these are still adolescents who are going to tend to put on more muscle mass because they continue to grow. And so weight isn't the best marker of whether these kids are successful. You need to look beyond just the total mass that they have.
Now, one of the items emphasized in the pilot study and in the program that you have underway now was its cultural relevance. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, when we speak to cultures, we think about what makes people who they are. And this program is focused on a culture that it seems to work around families. Family issues seem to be really important. And so we encourage, even though they're adolescents, the families have to participate. Well, we have their families, we have their younger brothers and sisters, which is a different message, as this is improving the health of the family, not necessarily the health of just that individual. There's this collectivism that we know is important. In addition, we have not faculty members or doctors or nurses delivering this education, but we have lay health educators or promotores who are delivering the health information in a way that's meaningful to the community that they're working with. So these are folks from the community delivering interventions to the community.
So you got additional funding based upon the pilot program to launch this program. Tell us about this one.
So this program's a randomized controlled trial. So from a scientific perspective, it's one of the more rigorous designs where kids are going to go through and either be randomized to the intervention or the control group. Now that's important, but from a community perspective, nobody wants to be in a control group. So we have to put some components into the intervention that are going to be meaningful for all the kids who participate. So it's a waitlist control group. Another add-on to the pilot study was we're not only looking at short-term effects, so within the first 12 weeks, we also want to look at the more long-term effects, sustainable effects. We believe if we deliver interventions in the community with the community's input, those effects can be more lasting. So we're looking at 12 weeks as well as the 12-month effects. After these kids are done with the program, are they able to sustain not only the changes in behavior, but the improvements in health?
And exactly what are they doing over this 12-month period?
So the first 12 weeks are an intensive program where they come in with their families and they do a nutrition education class once a week for an hour with the health educators. In addition to that, they do 3 times a week of physical activity or exercise at the YMCA for an hour. So the kids are not only learning about changing their behavior, they're also implementing that in the exercise classes. So that's the intensive 12-week part. After that, they'll be reassessed, and then we have a booster session, which is 12 weeks following that. So we know intensive components are important, but we also have to give these kids the opportunity to have these boosters where we can address some of the challenges, but also some of the successes that we've seen. So that's another 12-week session where they'll come back and get reevaluated. And then we feel after an intensive part where we're really holding their hands, and then some of the booster sessions, we're going to let them go for 6 months. And that 6 months is really going to see whether the sustained changes that we have helped make in the early parts of the intervention can follow up for the next 6 months. So then they'll come back a year later and get reevaluated, and we'll be able to see whether short-term differences, medium-term differences and long-term differences are found.
And each, it's several cohorts. So you have 60 kids at the beginning, and it's just 1 year for them, and then years 2 through 5 would be different groups?
That's correct. So we have rolling enrollment. So essentially, we do cohorts at a time. The total study is going to look at 160 kids over the course of 5 years, but each kid is only in for about a year.
It sounds like a wonderful program of great importance to the community. Thank you so much for joining us on Horizonte to talk about it, and we'll have you back here, hopefully not 5 years from now, but before then to see how we're doing.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's our show for tonight. From all of us here at Horizonte, I'm Jose Cardenas. Have a good evening.
Funding for Horizonte is made possible by contributions by the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station.